Hey guys, Chat Jungle here. I actually, before the video starts, I accidentally pressed the stream button instead of the record button when I was trying to record this video. So the intro got like cut out because of the stream had a delay, whatever it is. So enjoy the video. This is a patch, not rundown, but like a jungle tier list of all the junglers that were affected and not affected. Which ones are good, which ones are bad. It's a universal list for like solo queue. This isn't the best list for challenger, and it's not the best list for iron. It's just for silver to emerald, the easiest or best champs to climb with. I made it with Perry Jungle, who's another content creator who has played professionally and does jungle streams and coaches for a living. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. I'm gonna get right into the video now. Bye bye. Okay, me again. One last thing. So this is my first time recording this video, like type of video. So you're gonna see in the video, I was like looking around a lot and looking confused, looking to my right. Disclaimer: I thought you could see my mouse during the entire time. So I was like, when Perry was talking, I was like writing like drawings, like Perry's talking now. I was circling the champion we're talking about. I was drawing like dragons for like to show Shyvana. Like I was having some fun with it, and now it looks really dumb looking back. So disclaimer: that's what I was doing. Okay, have fun.
20 tier list. There have been a lot of notable changes that we'll be briefing over this video, like the nerfs on AP junglers that build Liandries, specifically Udyr and Shyvana. Today, I also have a special guest.
Hey everyone, it's Sejuani here. I've been playing professionally for the last. Okay, a little background on myself. I've been playing professionally for the last 3 years. I played on 100 Thieves and Immortals, and now I'm looking to expand into content creation and coaching.
Here we have it, guys. Chat Jungle. We're going to be doing this whole tier list together. Let's jump right into the top 4 junglers this patch that will be printing LP. To start off, we have the man, Udyr. Udyr's nerfs weren't really anything too big. The clear speed definitely gets affected by a bit, but overall, the part that made Udyr really broken was his damage. Like he's still gonna go from like a Z tier from before to now S plus tier. He loses a few seconds, but they really didn't hurt him too much other than the E movement speed. The damage is what makes Udyr so broken. Next, we also have Volibear. Volibear here is really just overall, he's easy to play. He's great at ganking. He forces dives well with his ultimates. When you have accurate dives, you're able to win the game the fastest. The dives are even easier than Elise to some extent. So Volibear is just one of those really good noob-friendly champions, similar to our next champion here, Amumu, who will always be broken. The style of Amumu, easy to play, just like Volibear, scales insanely well. The tankiness on Amumu, you team fight perfectly. Your clear is fast, good at taking grubs. These 3 champions right here, Udyr, Volibear, and Amumu already are like, if you see them, you're kind of bothered. You're pissed off when you see them. They're going to completely dominate the Rift right now.
Yeah, I say for next champ is Gwen. So Gwen's actually a new champion who's gained a lot of popularity in the last like in the last week of the patch, I'd say. The champ is just insane snowballer. She gets 2-3 items. Her team could be 0-6 bot lane, 0-5 mid, and 2-3 item Gwen can actually solo carry games, which is pretty rare nowadays. The game's not really designed to be a solo carry game anymore. She scales insanely well. She team fights well. She split pushes well, which is actually really rare for junglers nowadays to do viably, but because she can consistently 2v1 and she one-shots towers with masters, she's a really good split pusher. Her only restriction is you kind of can't really fight with your ult down. When Gwen's ult is down, she's not really a good champ, right? But at rank 2 ult, it's only a 100-second cooldown, and with your build being Nashor's first, it's only around 80-second cooldown. So she's just a good around strong champ.
Yeah, I want to mention like Gwen is like one of those hard carry AP junglers. If you want to play that hard carry style where Udyr, Volibear, and Mumu are more facilitator style, Gwen is like, I'm in the game and it's my time to 1v9, it's my time to split push, my time to win team fights, like Chad was saying.
Yeah. Now for the next champ, it would be Mundo. I know Mundo did actually get nerfed this patch, but I don't think the nerf really affected why he's considered so good right now. Him missing some damage might be annoying, but at the end of the day, even with once you get Heartsteel stacked up and if you land your Qs, you're still gonna do plenty of damage. But the reason why he's so good, in my opinion, hasn't changed at all. Right now, I'll be honest, there's a lot of delusional AD carries who are going static shift into RFC on Jhin every single game, and if they're not playing that, they're playing mages, who mages aren't really the best at dealing with tanks. Um, like champions like Jinx and Aphelios, who was historically really good at killing tanks, just aren't picked anymore. They're not that good. So you could be playing Mundo and not even that fed, and you're against Jhin, who's RFC static shiv, and he just will not kill you. You will never die. So this champ also has really good wave. Jungle clear. He clears fast. He gets high base levels, and he just becomes an unkillable tank that runs down your entire team.
Yeah, I want to compare Mundo to a champion like Udyr, to a champion like Volibear, even a Amumu. These guys are all just like in this category of unkillable, deals a lot of damage, really oppressive to play against. Now, next champion we have here is Shyvana. Shyvana did get nerfed, that's why we don't see her in the S plus tier. Her most important spell, her E, the AP ratio did not get touched. The only thing that was touched was the base damage that of the existing E. It got hit by 20 damage flat. A lot of her damage came from the initial E, not the fire on the ground. So overall, Shyvana is still going to be extremely powerful. The damage is just incredibly OP. Once you buy that Shojin, you get the Landries, you get the Riftmaker, you get the Rabadons, you're still dealing insane amount of damage. Similar to Deer, like she's still going to be very, 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 very powerful. Now, sometimes it sort of sucks because your W is going to you're going to lose 2% of AP ratio on your W move speed. So you're going to lose a little bit there, and then your R AP ratio goes from 130 to 80, which sucks, but you're not really ulting on top of people to kill them. You're ulting and using your E's. So this nerf is like not really going to affect Shyvana too heavily. She's definitely not overtuned now, and they're definitely hitting Shyvana in the right spots. But overall, Shyvana is still like an S tier champion for sure.
Yeah, I think on the Shyvana thing, I think people don't realize a lot just how much chunking someone matters. Let's say
Right.
your first E got someone to half, and then your second E got them to 10%. Let's say you're missing 100 damage off that flat. It doesn't really matter because the poke is the same it was before. They still have to base, or they're gonna be too low in the fight. So like the nerf is just when it comes to the damage, you're not missing anything.
Right. Exactly.
Now, going into Skarner next. Skarner's, again, like Mundo and Shyvana, who both got nerfs, and he also got nerfed, but he's really similar to Mundo, where the reason why he's good didn't get touched. He's still going to be completely unkillable in this meta. He's getting so much HP from Heartsteel, from taking grass, from getting the shield with his W. None of these things I just mentioned are getting touched, right? He's just an unkillable champ who has a constant threat to squishies anytime he goes through a wall with his ability, of course, right? He also has a special factor I love in champs where he can be 0-12. You had a terrible game, you got level 1 invaded, level 2 invaded, you're just having a bad game, but you can still win any game with your ult unironically, right? So when you're playing well, you're useful, you're killing squishies, you're unkillable, and when you're behind, you still have decent damage, consistent good CC, and you still have good like gank threat. Like laners are bad. Laners love dying to ganks, and Skarner just is a better version of Rek Sai where he just goes through walls and if Skarner will always get a kill in the first 10 minutes through a gank, almost always. That's just how Skarner is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the only downside to your champion like Skarner is the mechanical difficulty at times to min max Skarner and to be able to play it at a challenger or even higher than challenger level, the pro level. You need to really be diligent with your spells because of how long of a cooldown all of Skarner's spells are. I feel that's one downside on Skarner.
Yeah. Now going into next is Xin Zhao. I actually I was like, Pierre, we have to put this champion S tier. I think this champion is like criminally underrated. I don't see any other junglers talk about him. He's not really fun to play. Maybe that's why. But I think he's just underrated. And I think he's good and deserves to be an S for this many reasons. I think he's very easy to play. Even though he has a skill shot, the W is pretty hard to miss, right? He
Yeah,
ganks really
yeah,
well. He farms decently, and just like why I'm gonna keep mentioning this throughout the tier list. I just love champs that are always useful. If you're ahead, you're snowballing the game. If you're ahead on Xin Zhao with Eclipse, you are one-shotting squishies with just off your base combo. You're one-shotting other bruises in the game, but you're also just very annoying to deal with. Xin Zhao can be 0-5, 0-6, and he can always just stack up his Q on a random minion, on a random jungle camp, on a dragon objective, and just flash E. You could be 0-4 Xin Zhao versus a 7-0 Jinx, and you could just stack your Q twice, flash E her. She cannot dodge the knockup. She's getting knocked up no matter what, and she might just get one shot off that knockup. But you will never get one shot going for these type of engages because of your ult ability. Anyone outside of your ult does not do damage to you, and a lot of times players just aren't good enough to understand. Oh, I have to walk melee range of him. Because how many times are you gonna tell an AD carry to walk melee range of a bruiser? They just won't do it. It's not happening, right? So this champion
yeah.
is useful in team fights, ganks well, scales decently, and if he gets ahead, he can snowball the game incredibly hard with just how much damage he does with items like Eclipse and the Titanic Hydra and stuff like that.
I think it's the funniest thing when you're playing Xin Zhao and you're like even and there's the enemy you ulti in the fight and the enemy just like the enemy ADC just like starts walking to you to try and kill you. It just looks like the funniest thing ever. Like Xin Zhao is like we've been talking about, just always going to be this useful champion. That brings us into Viego, and if you guys know, Viego is one of the most broken, junglers champions. The kit is insane, and Viego is one of those champs who will also always be useful. We've been talking about that a lot, but you can be down 10,000 gold, you can be up 10,000 gold. It doesn't matter. All you need is one kill, one reset. You need some general understanding of the game, and you're gonna dominate that team fight. Now, the downside with Viego is you do need a lot of knowledge. If you don't understand champion abilities, if you don't understand just like the amount of damage this item does for you, like how much does a Hui combo do? Do you know the Hui spells? How much like how does Zac work? Like if you guys don't know how these champions work, Viego's gonna feel a lot worse. So I definitely don't recommend it if you're learning jungle or you're brand new to League of Legends. You won't know how to really play. But overall, his team fight is brilliant, brilliant team fight. I love the kits. He scales really well. His ganking in the early game is good. His clear is actually insanely well too. You have so many build paths that everyone loves talking about. You actually have 4 different build paths, and I'll actually have a video on this really soon. Kraken Slayer into Titanic, Blade of the Rune King into Sundered Sky, Trinity Force into Sundered Sky, and Hail of Blades with Collector Infinity Edge, which will be even better, I believe, with the Collector buffs. We'll talk a little bit more about the Collector buffs later. Pretty much all these builds can be used in different places. Kraken into Titanic against it's just like your general build. Bork into Sundered against tanks. Trinity into Sundered for some HP if you need survivability. And Hail of Blades. This build, I think I actually start taking it more when you have champions like Nautilus, Blitzcrank, engage supports. Overall, Viego literally does everything. Everything you want. We love the champion. Obviously, both Chad and I play Viego a crap ton too. Viego is like the most fun champion, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean the champ's fun to play. I think versatility can't really be understated. I think a lot of
Yeah.
champs I don't like that much are champs that can only play one way, but because of how many builds he has, you could again, as Perry just said, like there's so many different builds. If you're against tanks, you go Bork. If you're against squishies, you could go the crit or you could go Kraken Titanic. And having the ability to do different builds allows you to do different things. Like enemy, you obviously can't control the enemy champs, what they're gonna pick, but your build can control your usefulness versus them, right? I also think the X factor is something people don't really talk about. There's some champs you could be 7-0 on these champs, and you just can't really like change the game. You have to hope the enemy messes up. You hope they face check. You hope something happens. Viego has an X factor where it doesn't matter how bad the game looks. If you get a reset, any fight's winnable. And having this X factor is just something that you could take into your games, and it just makes every game feel winnable. You know. Going into the next tier now is going to be the A tier, and we have champions that excel with leads but can be very difficult to snowball because of execution, right? And I think the perfect champion that encapsulates that mindset of crazy snowballing might be hard to play is Graves. Graves is a champ that now with the collector buffs, this patch make him even stronger than before. They changed the item from 3,400 gold to 2,950, so they made it 450 gold cheaper, but they also it lost 10 AD, right? But if you do the math, along starts 350, they lost 10 AD. It's 340 cheaper. So they made the item basically just 100 gold cheaper, which is not only better because it's cheaper, but you're completing the item earlier in the game. You're getting the passive earlier. You're just anytime you're not sitting on components, it's better, right? Um, but yeah, with Graves, you have to understand now. Another thing about Graves is the runes have changed. It's been Fleet for 2, 3 years now, but I think with how many times Fleet has been getting nerfed and harassed, it's just Dark Harvest is just the way to go, right? I think there's a lot of Dark Harvest fans who are like nice Dark Harvest finally. It's a fun rune to use. It looks cool. It does damage, but nowadays it really is the best on Graves, right? The most important thing about why Graves isn't S plus or S is execution, and not by mechanical execution, which is high in itself, but it's honestly adapting the mindset. Graves is so unique to any other jungler in the game where if you're not ahead with Graves, you are behind. You could be 1-0 even CS, and I would consider you behind on Graves. You have to be 2-0, you have to be 3-0, you have to be up 30 CS, you have to be up a level, maybe 2 levels minimum, right? If you are at that point, you should be able to honestly carry any game you want. You have full control of the game. But if it's 15 minutes and your scoreline is 0-0 and you're up 10 CS, you lost the early game. You didn't snowball hard enough. And being able to play this selfish and this greedy and focusing this much on snowball is something that takes a long time to learn. But once you learn it, Graves is a champion that you could climb all the way up to challenger just one tricking.
Yeah, I mean, Graves is one of those really impressive champions. He's one of my permabans. The problem, though, again, is you're going to have to play in this style of invading, of getting up in their face, and I feel like that always puts you in a state of risk, where you're going to have to outplay the enemies in the jungle. You're going to have to, be really smart about how you're pathing, how you're, getting these leads. It can put you in a lot of risky positions, so it's not a champion for everyone, especially if you're not equipped with that knowledge to be able to do that in Graves. The next champion we have here is Kayn. Kayn is all around in like a perfect state right now. A lot of people have been saying Kayn's terrible, Kayn sucks, but I think with the hubris, opportunity, Dark Harvest, you go Sorel does, and other lethality items like Axiom Arc. Overall, Shadow Kayn just still does an insane amount of damage. Kayn will just be super broken because his clear is fast and gank setup is literally unplayable against. Especially if you use your Qs to dash over walls, use your E's to go through walls, utilizing Fog of War. Kayn is just going to be extremely broken, let alone the red Kayn, which you can go lethality or bruiser. So before we called this like purple Kayn, now it's a legitimate thing to go red Kayn and build lethality, and it's just like it's much more oppressive because you have so many choices, similar to Viego. And if we were to tie this back to how powerful you will be no matter what sort of the game state is, Kayn does need gold. That is one thing that's a requirement. But if you have that gold, I feel like every game is carryable when you get 3, 4, 5 items, no matter which form I'm playing. I always feel like I can do something. I can change the fights, and that's what feels great about a champion like Kayn. Like the healing, the survivability on Red Kayn when you have your items against some of the most powerful like current S tier champions, Amumu, Volibear, Udyr, Mundo. Kayn's a great answer into them as well when you go Red Kayn. All
Yeah, I
right,
mean,
next champion.
oh
Oh,
yeah, sorry, I was gonna say, honestly, for me, I'm not the biggest Kayn player, but there's nothing more annoying than seeing the enemy go red Kayn lethality. I'm like, okay, I can't one shot him because he's red
right.
Kayn, but he also one shots me. So I feel like when you get a lead on Kayn, you could just do things that most champions in the game just aren't designed to do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely crazy. I feel like the mechanic going through walls is just hilarious. It's great. Next champion we have here is going to be our best friend, my best friend, Jarvan. The thing about Jarvan, the reason why I put him A tier is Jarvan's a very difficult champion to play. I've seen a lot of my viewers, a lot of people like have success, but the success they're having is still not the perfect way to play Jarvan. The mechanics are literally not intuitive whatsoever, and on top of the mechanics being not intuitive, it's really confusing. There are so many different playstyles to Jarvan. Spam ganking, do I farm, how do I play the team fights? If you're able to actually perfect the style of going in and out team fights, utilize his E and his Q, the short cooldowns, utilize your ultimate and everything, Jarvan becomes an S tier champion, S plus tier champion. There's a reason why top players right now, like Natty Nat, it's like rank 3 in EUS, is like actually playing Jarvan as his main champion, and Agurin back in the day hitting rank 1 multiple times with Jarvan. But if in the hands of someone who doesn't really understand how to fight, the champion can actually feel worse than A tier. He can actually feel like he's a D tier champion, which I often get that comment a lot, like, "Oh, Jarvan feels crap. Like, is he really good?" It's like, yes, you need to be really smart about how you're using your abilities.
I'd say with Jarvan, I actually personally I don't recommend Jarvan for players who want to climb. Uh, but he's not like he's bad at climbing. I recommend Jarvan as a champion that if people tell me I want to become a better jungler. I don't care about climbing right now. I just want to become better. I always recommend Jarvan because Jarvan is one of the best champs at teaching how to gank, how to play team fights to build space. Like he's just a very good champion, but he takes a lot of like time to learn how to play correctly, and that's the only reason why he's not S plus or S is you kind of want champs to be that high up to be easily pickable. Like you could play badly and still win, but with Jarvan, if you're playing badly, it's gonna it's not gonna go as well as you want. But this champ truly it can be S plus if you're playing well enough. It's just something to think about. You really need to take the time to master him and watch a lot of VODs, I'd say. And going into that, we're going Kha Zix, one of my favorite champs. And a lot of Kha Zix players are not be like, whoa, 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 what's Kha Zix doing this high up? Kha Zix is shit. Kha Zix is actually not bad. He's actually good, but you have to go Bruiser. Like Assassin Kha Zix is not very good right now. I don't think Assassin Kha Zix is good at all. Bruiser Kha Zix is good, right? And Bruiser Kha Zix means conquer. It means eclipse into Black Cleaver. It means maybe eclipse into Edge of Night, or maybe it's really more about playing for your team, right? It's most games, 99% of games, you're going to go R evolve into W, and the only times you really want to go Q is when you're playing against Udyr, Hecarim, Amumu, champions that take multiple Qs to kill, right? But 90% of the champs you're against, any mid laner, AD carry, squishies, most of the time, even with Bruiser, you know assassin items, all you need is auto, Q, W, alt, auto, and that kills, right? So, and a lot of times you could be, I like Kha Zix, because I've been bringing this up a lot, is you could be playing badly, you could be 0-6, but with 6 seconds of invisibility and a W that slows for 75%, you're any AD carry's biggest nightmare. You could just ult into the fight, auto him, proc a slow with your passive, then slow him again with your W, then they try to focus you, Jinx W's you, or tries to trap you, and you just ult away for 2 more seconds of invis, right? So your champion isn't a carry, the champion isn't someone who's going to go 20-0. Realistically, you're a bruiser who plays to be annoying, plays to slow, and if the enemy team mispositions, you are still able to one-shot them with your bruiser items.
Yeah, Kha Zix one of the most annoying junglers I'd say to play against, especially when someone's perfected the style of playing on Kha Zix. Next up here, we have Hecarim. Hecarim snowballing is super oppressive. The speed at which she clears is like literally not comparable. I mean, I guess you can sort of say Lillia clears as fast, maybe Udyr. But right now, Landry's got nerfed, so I think Hecarim actually, his clear speed is going to be incredibly quicker than a lot of other junglers. Now, the problem with Hecarim is his team fighting. Similar to Jarvan, the champion is, again, it's not that intuitive. You can't really, mess your E up or W up. If you mess them up and you know use it too early, or you don't time it correctly, or you E too quickly, you're gonna completely ruin the fights. And not only that, like, because EW is hard to use sometimes. I see a lot of W usage be poor. Your ultimate, one of the key abilities, can also be hard to use depending on the fight. Now, in the right hands, in someone like Huncho, for example, you can even achieve rank 1 on the champions. There's definitely a lot of playability to Hecarim, but your average player might struggle with Hecarim. So, you need the final knowledge to make Hecarim amazing. The next champion we have here is Warwick. Warwick, we'll go over him really briefly. He's a great stat checking champion. That's Warwick's job. He will always be relevant unless he gets a crazy nerf. The reason why is his W is great for ganking, and the rest of his abilities are just, his kit is literally like designed to stat check people. If you're lower on HP, I will kill you. If you're, I'm getting low, I will ult you and I will heal back to full. It's just like this champion Warwick. There's a reason why people recommend it because of how good of a stat checker Warwick is.
Yeah, so going into the next champion will be Kindred. So Kindred, funny enough, in my opinion, will always have like a Z tier kit for solo queue, or I guess S plus if you want to call it. She scales extremely well. She fights earlier really well. She snowballs really well. She clears well. She ganks decently. Not the best, but she has no CC. But she still like has a slow with her E and her Q has a jump, right? She does everything really well except for she's kind of hard to play. She takes a long time to master. She's mechanically difficult. You have to get her ult timing down. You have to understand how her passive works, when the marks will spawn, right? And also, most recently, all her items have kind of gotten nerfed. Kraken got nerfed, Triforce got nerfed, all the credits got nerfed. So she's not never gonna be terrible to play. But these are the reasons why I'm not having her in S tier or S plus. So difficult to play. All her items got nerfed, but even then, she still makes it to at least A, right? Because if you're a 4-0 Kindred, you could take over the games better than some of the champs above her in the tier list, right? Like if you want to compare it to like a 4-0 Skarner to a 4-0 Kindred, a 4-0 Skarner is still kind of relying on the teammates to be humans, right? But a 4-0 Kindred, she could win the game by herself. She's just again pretty hard to play, and also she does clear a bit slower than some of the champions above her, right?
Yeah,
Um,
on top of this here, I want to add that um the tier lists above these champions we have, like Udyr, one of my favorite. I would say sometimes people think about picking Kindred as a counter to Udyr. I just feel like sometimes it's just like it's up in the air. Like back in the day when Kindred had really good items, like the Kraken was strong, and Kindred was just felt really powerful. Kraken Triforce, Wits End, especially when Griffin was pushing for rank 1, I was like, damn, I need to ban this champion. I can't play Udyr. But nowadays, when I see Kindred as Udyr, I'm like, I don't think she's gonna be that powerful. She's gonna be annoying, but not that annoying. So, it's definitely nowadays, Kindred's still amazing, but a slight buff to the items can really change how powerful Kindred is.
yeah. I think Karthus next on the list. Karthus is just is one of the most annoying champs in the game to play against one of these. I think everyone is experienced playing against Karthus, where you think the game's won, you just had a good fight, and he ults, and your entire team is dead, right? This champion scales insanely well, and he has one of the best clear speeds, if not the best clear speed in the entire game. With how volatile solo queue is, having a 600 damage ult by the 20-minute mark will always be useful, either for team fights or for teammates fighting in the side lane. There are hard he is hard to play than some of the other AP champions listed above, right? With Karthus, you really have to get that clear speed down. You really have to unironically get good at landing his Qs, right? And some of those things makes it not as good as the others, right? I also think that with Karthus, you have to be way more disciplined. I think with a lot of champs above in this list, you could kind of just skip camps and fight. But Karthus is really important. You're keeping your XP up, you're keeping your gold up. So one of his barriers is learning how to play disciplined, right? Learning how to land your cues, knowing when to fight, right? But if you do all these things, this champion could slingshot you into LP, right? Nothing's more annoying than the Karthus ulting. This champ, at the end of the day, is honestly just OP, but he takes a bit of time to learn, and I think for some people he's a bit boring. And it really is true that you have to really enjoy a champ to climb with the champ. We are humans at the end of the day, so.
Yeah. The next champion we have here is going to be Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks, again, is, when you get that lead on Fiddlesticks and you have control over vision, you just dominate the game. Everyone's terrified. They're freaking out, like, Fiddlesticks going to ult me, I can't fight. And in the actual team fight, you find that angle, boom, you can win the game. And that's not to say that, oh, Fiddlesticks only good with a lead. When you're behind, Fiddlesticks ult, one good ult, one good position is all it takes for the fight to go from, you know, the game to go from it's lost to now we've won. The problem with Fiddlesticks, though, is you need to understand Fog of War and you need to perfect your full clear, which can be really difficult to understand. Like, personally, I have yet to know a successful full clear on Fiddlesticks. It actually takes a lot of practice. The next champion we have here is Lillia. Lillia has gotten nerfed many, many, many times, as you guys have known, but she's definitely still pretty strong. She's not as strong as before, but with how quickly she moves around the map, her passive is like still extremely relevant. Her passive with how fast she clears, and just the sleep 2 second timer from the sleep. She's still really, really strong. Again, someone Hecarim plays the tempo beautifully.
And honestly, I've been bringing it up a lot, but I'm gonna keep bringing it up. I really just love champions that will always be useful, right? Because not we're all humans. Like people Perry's played pro, I played pro. Um, Even pro players have bad games where we just start the game behind. And champions that will always be useful are gonna win you more games than other champs, right? Like Lillia, you could be 0-10. You had a terrible game, something went wrong, but you're going into a third dragon, fourth dragon, and you stack up your passive, you 600 movement speed, and you just flash Q to sleep their immobile mage Orianna or their AD carry who didn't take cleanse. Boom,
Oh
they're
yeah,
dead. That's it.
they're
You
dead.
could be 0-10 and you just won your team the game.
Yeah, yeah. That's all. It's really all it takes, honestly. That is such a crucial thing because with that move speed, you can get into these positions where the enemy ADC or the enemy mage doesn't expect it. You're in there. It's been useless all game, so not even thinking about you, and then boom, you've just won that team fight in 40 minutes. Now you win the game. The next champion we have here is Zac. So we've been talking about kits a lot. Zac's kit is just crazy. The more levels you put in your E, the longer the ranges. The tankier you get, the more HP you get from your blobs. You have the revive, you have good clear speed, the survivability, even the damage from Zac is funnily enough, a crazy amount. It's just very solid A tier champion. The problem with Zac though is he can be very difficult to solo carry games. It's like I'm looking at a Zac, I'm looking at a very, very fed Zac, and I'm like, okay, he's not gonna solo carry the game. I'm looking at a fed Amumu or Udyr or Volibear, even Mundo, and I'm like, I feel very, very much more concerned about those champions compared to Zac. Because you look at a Zac's gonna miss his E, mess his Q up, ulti too early, and then damn, now the Zac can't carry. The execution needed is a bit higher on Zac, I'd say, but still very, very solid champion. Highly would recommend. And another problem with Zac is going to be you have to track your teammates in fights. You can go in, land a 5-man E, ulti, beautiful, but if your teammates aren't there, you have no follow up, you still lose the fight. There's also the fact that you have to know how to collect your blobs for survivability to be useful in the fights. There's just a lot of things to be really considerate about before thinking that Zac is OP.
Yeah. So now we are going into the counter pick portion. These are champions that should only be picked in specific situations. If you pick the champ in the right spot, the champ can be S plus tier. But if you
Yo,
pick
yo,
the champ,
yo.
oh,
Your mic is like
oh,
staticky.
better.
You're good. Yeah, you're good now. You're good. You're good.
Yo, whoa, Nubia, my bad, my bad. But
No worries, no worries, no worries.
but now okay, so now we're going into the counter pick portion, right? These are champs that should only be picked in specific situations, right? These are champs that if you pick them in good spots, they are actually S plus tier, if not Z tier. And if you pick them in bad spots, they're actually like C or D tier, right? So these are champs that can win you the game just by picking them, and can also lose you the game if you blind pick them. Um, I'd say so first on this list would be Jax. So Jax kind of counters every auto attack base champ in the game, and it just sounds crazy to say that because there's a lot of auto attack base champs in the game, right? It, first when you come to like jungle matchups, right? Kindred, Viego, Xin Zhao, all three of these champions, all of their damage is based off their autos. They don't do damage without their auto. So you could be 0-2 Jax and you walk into a 2-0 Kindred in the jungle, and she cannot do anything. She's just dead, right? And also keep in mind, anytime it's 80 carry meta, 80 carries can only auto attack. So Jax can just you pick Jax when they have 3, 4 marksmen, or in a good matchup, you get fed, and this champ is just snowballs into like Narnia, right? Next on this list would be Mordekaiser. He's kind of like an AP version of Red Kayn. You pick him into comps with a lot of bruisers and noodle tanks. What I mean by noodle tanks is tanks that don't really do much damage and they just survive in the fight for a long period of time. But Mordekaiser is better into them because of his passive and how fast he stocks Conquer and the items he builds, like Liandry's or Riftmaker. He heals more than them because of, again, Conquer and W, and he does more damage to them because of these items he builds. Because other tanks, they don't build these items. They go Thornmail, or they go Locket, or they just build tank items. But he's a tank bruiser killer who builds, these items. So he's just, if you pick him into a comp with a lot of short range champs, lots of different tanks, bruisers, he just becomes unkillable. Plus, he kills them. He kind of does everything. But the champion does need to scale a little bit. He's not really strong before one item, so he does have some downsides, of course. Next is Teemo. Teemo is honestly just the AP version of Jax in everything I just said. Um, Teemo just counters again every auto attack based champ in the game. There are examples of people who have played Teemo all the way up to Challenger. Manko is a multi-season Teemo one trick who has gotten Challenger playing Teemo. Brox has recently pick up Teemo and gotten coaching from Manko, and I think he's gotten Grand Masters one tricking Teemo. This is a champ that you pick him into Xin Zhao, and you could begin same logic with Jax. You could be 0-2 Teemo against a 2-0 or 3-0 Xin Zhao, and he ease into you, and you just throw your Q. He's blinded. He can't auto attack. He can't do anything. So these champs are just really, I mean, Teemo is just really good at, countering auto attack bait. Again, you could be playing against a 6-0 Jinx, and if you flash Q, she can't auto you. She has to run away or she dies, right?
So Teemo's like, to me, it's like similar to Jax. Like it's just an AP variation of Jax. The only difference I think about Teemo is like your ulties, your shrooms, is like very annoying to deal with. And through the jungle, you're gonna be in the jungle the whole time, which is even more annoying because the split pushing Teemo on the top side, okay, he's gonna have shrooms up there. Sure, the jungler is gonna have shrooms everywhere. It's like actually so annoying to play against.
I agree. So Olaf's next. So it's not that Olaf's OP against certain junglers. It's that Olaf is OP against certain comps, right? Like compositions. Like if you're a last pick and you see the enemy team has picked champions like Sejuani, Seraphine, these type of immobile champs that immobile, and these are the type of champs that they rely on not dying based off their CC. Like nice, Ashe might be mobile, but Ashe has W slow, ult stun, but against Olaf, these things don't matter, right? So you pick Olaf. Also, Olaf's really good against like different types of tanks, like Sedge. Like Sedge is a champion. Her entire kit is based around CCing you. Her QC knocks you up. Her W slows you. Her E stuns you. Her ult stuns you. You can't stun or slow Olaf ult, right? So when you pick Olaf into these types of comps that are CC reliant, and you come to team fights with 1-2 items, so Olaf can 3v1. Like again, Olaf against those literal three champs I named: Sejuani, Ashe, Seraphine. or you could say Amumu, which we consider an S plus tier champ, there's nothing Amumu can do in the game to ever beat Olaf in 1v1 or in any skirmish, right? So this is just a champ that, not that he has good jungle matchups, he just has really insane team comp matchups.
Yeah, Olaf is one of those champions. I actually had a review with one of the students recently where I saw an Olaf, and it actually looks very powerful. You can actually just get that ADC really, really easily. Not even just like compositionally, like you can just run through everyone and just kill that ADC extremely quickly. You deal so much damage on Olaf as well. The next champion we have here is going to be Rammus. So if the enemy picks 3-4 marksmen, they got Tristana mid, Quinn top, Jinx ADC, Master Yi for some reason, full AD, Rammus will be literally God. You guys have seen the buffs play Rammus top lane, just be unkillable. It's the same thing for jungle. He gets too much armor. You go Thornmails, you go Sork boots, and you really just enjoy life, walking around, being a little turtle, and no one can kill you. The next champion we have here is going to be Gragas. Gragas actually is one of these champions that will always have like an S tier kit. The only reason why Gragas would not be S tier is because it takes a lot of skill to play Gragas. So you see a lot of clips like the boss again, or Sloppy Walrus, or whoever playing Gragas, and it's like, dang, it looks so beautiful. Dang, I want to do that. But it's actually super difficult to do some of the plays that they're doing. And one of the main reasons why um, like he's not always like amazing is because his clear speed in the jungle is not that great either. So overall, great counter pick because he can disengage, a lot of skill ceiling. He can engage, disengage, do a lot. You put a Yasuo with him, be very, very powerful. And you can pick him against like engage, like they have Jarvan, they have Malphite. They're coming into you hard. You can cancel the Jarvan EQ. You can like when Malphite ults in, when Vi ults in actually, you can like ult the backline away, and now Vi's come in and kill herself. When the Malphite ults in, you can ult everyone away. So there's the same logic with a lot of different engaged champs. And that's what makes Gragas really, really powerful. All right, our next champion here is going to be Morgana. Morgana is a lot of people are like, "Oh, is Morgana bad? What's going on with Morgana?" I get that asked a lot. She's not a crazy OP champion, but her Black Shield can make some champions completely useless, like Vi. Even like Malphite, if you're trying to say if a one hyper carry, um, you will just completely nullify Vi, especially for the rest of the game. So they pick Vi, blind pick Vi for some reason. Okay, Morgana, you see the Vi ulting in, coming in, tap E on that guy. Okay, now Vi's useless. So literally, you can completely nullify some champions, and her clear speed is pretty fast as well. Similar to like Brand, like these AP junglers all clear pretty quickly. And if you land Qs in team fights, you can pretty much one-shot people and swing team fights. It's just piloting Morgana can be a bit annoying sometimes. It can be a bit difficult.
Yeah. Actually, personally, in competitive, I loved playing Morgana. Anytime anyone blind picked Vi, I'd be begging my coach, please pick me Morgana, please, because you,
Yeah,
you just have so
yeah.
much fun, right? But going next champ is going to be Taliyah. There's a lot of champs in League of Legends that have dashes, guys, like Rakan, Riven, Samira, any engage support in the game, Rel, Nolus, etc. There's like, and Taliyah just counters every dash champ in the game. You throw your you throw your E in team fights. These champions can't go in. Like the really popular champs that we have above, who we consider good champions, Kayn, Jarvan, Xin Zhao. These champions rely on entering every team fight. Jarvan EQs in, Kayn Q's in, Xin Zhao E's in. These are these champions' main abilities at like going in. They without these abilities, they can't be useful. They can't do anything. And if you throw your Taliyah E well and you hold it and you play in the backline, you're just it's kind of similar to Morgana. You're just removing them from the game, or you're making their life living hell, right? And also, not only off that, this champion also just scales really well. She's a mage, and she has good clear speed. She clears faster than a lot of the AD champs in the game. Like that's just how AP champions are. So she clears fast. She scales well, and her E removes champions from the game. Honestly, she's a really good champ. The only reason why we have her in like counters over S or S plus is if you blind pick her and the enemy team picks champions that don't have dashes, you're kind of and like outrange her, then the champion does feel pretty bad. But yeah. Going to the next champ would be Poppy. Poppy is again, it's kind of similar. A lot of champions in this game are similar. Poppy is just the AD tank version of Taliyah. You pick Poppy into Jarvans and Vi's, into Xin Zhao's or whatnot, champions that Rivens, Samira's. A lot of these champs, again, same thing. These champions rely on dashing in to play the game. And when you're able to stop them from doing that, you're just making those champions a lot worse. Another thing about it is, similar to kind of Gragas, there's a lot of engage champs in the game who have very telegraphed engages. You see them going in, and you know the team fight's about to start. If you get your Poppy ult ready, and you just Poppy ult someone out of the fight, your team is instantly playing a 4v5, right? So when you see the enemy team is locking really heavy engage champs, Yasuo, Riven, Gragas, Jarvan, these champions that have to go in to be useful, and you just ult someone out, um, your team's fighting 45, and it's just a good game, right? But again, if you pick Poppy when they have no dashes, your champion doesn't really do much. That's why she's just a really good counter champ, and if she's not countering a champ, she's not very useful.
Yeah. Next off here, guys, done with the counters. We're getting into the B tier, but on the idea of B, C, and D tier, pretty much we don't really recommend any of these champions. Either pick S plus, S, A tier, or counters, really. If you're thinking about picking a B, C, or D tier champ, it's because you really, and I mean really love the champion, and you just you're attached to them. The problem with these champions is they lack solo carry potential. They end up being relatively team reliant to carry with, and on top of that, it's mechanically sometimes these champions can be very difficult. To begin with, we have Rek Sai, who actually really dominates solo queue win rates. But back to the carry potential and back to thing difficult mechanically. It takes a lot of like skill on Rek Sai and it takes a lot of games to be really proficient on a champion like Rek Sai.
Yeah, I'd say next on the list is Diana. Diana is a very honestly solid AP jungler. I'd say she snowballs really well. The only problem is there's a lot of way better AP junglers in the game. It's not that Diana's bad; it's just there's better versions of her, right? But she does snowball really hard, and I think especially when you pair her with champions like Yasuo, you have a really powerful combination. Diana flash E ults, Yasuo ults. Probably any squishing in the game dies from that, no matter what. But again, champions like Udyr, if Udyr ever runs into Diana in the jungle, Udyr is just gonna have a field day, bro. Like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
nothing Diana can do. So that's why
nothing.
she's down here compared to Udyr up there.
Next one we have Ivern. Ivern will be actually a really strong champion forever, especially if you learn how to actually path properly. That's the reason why Ivern's hard. The problem with that is it takes a lot of time to learn this Ivern champion. Man. It takes a lot of time, even when playing competitively. When I try to learn Ivern, it's like there's a lot of details to this champion that can be really difficult to understand.
Yeah, no, personally for me, I pride myself at learning most of the champs in the game when I was playing professionally more seriously. Ivern was one of the only ones I was like, coach is like, tell me play Ivern. I was like, I really don't want to play Ivern, bro. That champ is so much to learn, and solo queue is just gonna be as hard. But yeah, going into the next champ would be Nunu. I think Nunu is actually a kind of weird champ because Nunu has everything I like about champions when it comes to putting them at higher like A, but I think right now he's just kind of in a strange spot. Nunu is just a really great ganking jungler. The problem is he's just not the best carry jungler. That's why he's in this tier. Uh, Everyone knows laners are terrible. We all make fun of laners for dying to gank. Every jungler said that gank should never work. It's like we've all said it. Nunu's the king at ganks that should never work working. Like that's what he's known for. That's what he's best at. Um, and I think that Nunu he just isn't the best team fighter. Like he snowballs games, he ganks well, but he just goes into team fights and hitting snowballs in team fights isn't really a thing. You're kind of just an ult bot, and you're hoping to God you could E flash someone and stun them with your E like a carry. But even then, if they're positioning well enough, that should almost never happen. So he's just not the best team fighter, and a lot of times in League, almost every game ends up going to the team fights.
Yeah. The next champion we have here is going to be Elise. Elise is much more powerful with the recent E changes and the buffs. She'll be more relevant, but ultimately, when you compare this champion to any of the other AP champions, even comparing to like Volibear, for example, I just feel like those champions are way more impressive, way more useful. Now Elise is fun, especially if you're trying to be that assassin, be that sole AP, sure, but it sort of sucks compared to like Lillia sometimes, or um, you know, some of the champions can be better. All right, next champion we have here is Master Yi. Now, Master Yi has an insane amount of carry potential and deals a lot of damage, but he is instantly countered by anyone with CC and has many drafts where it can feel impossible to play. And really, 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 truly, champions like Morgana, Malzahar, Lissandra, Rammus, we talked about earlier, Malphite. It just simply is such an incredible, like, incredibly sad time to play Master Yi. And again, like I would say, if you guys really truly want to get details on Mastery, you guys know who to go to. Scenarios is the man. But I mean, Mastery, I played him, just sucks. They have CC and just sucks.
Honestly, thinking about it now, we might have messed up and Mastery might be encounters because if technically if your last pick, like, I agree, Mastery sucks because of CC, but technically if your
Right.
last pick, which is rare, and enemy team picks no CC, Mastery is
Oh yeah,
actually
yeah.
pretty good at snowballing. So this might
Yes,
have been a
yes, yes.
mistake. Not sure, but it's too late now. But even now, technically, even then, even against no CC, sometimes Mastery you need if you don't get the ball rolling, if you don't get random kills, you're kind of
Yeah,
useless. Your
yeah.
champion needs a snowball, so he could still be in B, but it's something to think about. Where if they pick no CC, the champion could sneak up to A. Just something to think about.
Right.
Going into next is Nocturne. So Nocturne is actually a champion similar to Jarvan we talked about earlier, which I love recommending. This champ might not be the best carry champ, might not be the best champion to climb, but I do believe he's one of the best champs at learning the game and learning how to jungle well. The reason why I say that is I coach a lot, and a lot of times in coaching, people all the way to masters, even GM, have the same problem of they are undisciplined. They have camps up and they're fighting. They have camps up and they're ganking. They're very undisciplined, and I actually believe Nocturne's the best jungler in the game at learning discipline because you learn really fast. When your ult is down, you are just not a champion. You are the worst champ in the game. So this might not be the best champion for climbing, um, because you can't really control when your teammates fight, and also the champ's not really a good carry champion. Um, but the champion still has the ability to win you plenty of games just by getting so many picks and silence with your ult. And I do recommend playing the champion to like learn the game. In my opinion, of course, I don't speak for Fairy, but I think still at the very least he gets B tier because the game is so volatile and there's so much random fighting that just the ability to turn off the lights and make people panic will always win you games no matter what to a certain level.
Right. Yeah, I would say Nocturne is a champion where like yeah, the fundamentals with Nocturne is so great, but why learn fundamentals on Nocturne when you can try doing that on champion like Shyvana? In my head, I'm like, there's just better champions like a Amumu, where it's like similar to Nocturne. We were playing for level 6, playing for ultimate, we're scaling up, but I feel like this execution on Amumu and Shyvana way easier than Nocturne. Next champion we have here is gonna be Briar. Briar, I've always had as one of the good champions, I think good stat checking champions. But as I play more, as I see more, Briar's execution is difficult. Overall, Briar's items have gotten nerfed too. She's just a worse version of Warwick in my head, and just way more difficult to pilot. Good luck playing Briar and not dying at least once or twice, especially when you're first learning the champion. And even if you learn the champion 20 times, 20 like you've played 200 games, I still see people like die on Briar just like from some stupid thing happens. And it's just such a crazy kit that is how Briar works. So in the C tier, guys, we're gonna quickly go through C tier and D tier here. We have champions that are literally near impossible to carry games and are very difficult to mechanics, and that only one tricks truly understand. So Echo, very difficult to play. Very difficult. Like, are you farming? Are you ganking? Like, how fed do you need to be? Can you go for multiple kills? It's just very, very, very difficult to play, and there's better champions than Echo in the game. Wukong, his clear speed is extremely slow, and that's one thing like junglers need to clear quickly. And the other thing is, hard to mechanically fight in Wukong. I've seen so many Wukong players they don't like even Agurin sometimes. I'm watching his Wukong and I'm just like, dang, I feel like he could play that better. Like even myself, I'm like, dang, I think I could have played that better. Wukong, to perfect Wukong, you need to be incredibly good.
Yeah, for next on this will be Nidalee. Nidalee is just really, you should only play Nidalee if you're gonna be a one trick. You have to really enjoy and just love playing this champion. This champ sucks. You know, this champion. You have if you land your Q, you're the man. If you miss it, you're not the man. And also, again, we have so many AP junglers on the list above that are just better. They snowball better. They're easier to play. They clear it faster. You know, she just doesn't have the best stuff. Next thing would be Shaco. Shaco again, sounds similar. It's only for one tricks. Like if you should only play the champ if you love Shaco. The champ has so many little things that are kind of like take a while to learn, and the champ is not a good carry champ. Like you have to get so fed. Every other carry champ in the game does a better job, to be honest.
Next year we have Vi. Vi again is just very weak compared to other bruisers. We also talk about Morgana, and how Morgana completely shuts down Vi. A lot of champions do it in the game. A lot of peel champions exist. Vi just sort of sucks into all of them.
Yeah. Next is Next is Bel Veth. Bel Veth again. You should only play if you're gonna be a one trick. The reason why you say this one trick stuff is these are kits that are unique to only. There's 180 champs in the game or something. The way Bel Veth plays, when you learn it, you can't use that for any other champ. So it's kind of worthless skills unless you only want to play this champ. And also, she's just gotten hit by so many items. There's like Kraken and Bork and Triforce and so much. All these items she loves building just suck on her now.
Brand here, guys. Brand's been nerfed so many times, and we'll still see players like Gwen play him, but it just doesn't look as powerful as it had before. There's just better AP junglers, I'd say. Better AP junglers.
So following how bad the C tier was, we have the D tier champs. These champions should just not be picked almost ever. They suffer against almost every champion in the tiers above. Rengar here, so I'm starting it off with Rengar. Might be a shock as people know I'm a big Rengar player. This champ is just one of the hardest champions in the game to master, in my opinion. He's one of the hardest assassins by far. He has so many different things you can do with your kit that unless you have 1,000 games, you almost will always mess up team fights consistently. And right now, the best way to explain this champion is the best Rengar in EUS is adding that, and his most played champions this season are Jarvan and Mundo. So if a former Rengar one trick isn't playing Rengar, the champs probably shouldn't be picked by you guys either. Next is Zyra. Zyra is just a weaker version of every AP jungler we've already named. I don't want to name them all, but she just clears. Like her only good thing about her is her clear and her poke. But in solo queue, a lot of times your teammates won't give you the time to poke. They won't let you do what you want to do. And she's basically just a really good poke champ.
Next, we have Sejuani and Maokai, the tank buddies. I think these tanks are just so terrible in solo queue. Absolutely pathetic. I even had a video where I was like up 5-6k gold at Sejuani in the jungle, and we just lose the game. It's just I can't carry the game being up that much gold. You can't. I do not recommend playing Sejuani or Maokai in solo queue.
Yeah, next is Evelynn. Evelyn's just too weak right now. I think she got a bunch of nerfs at the end of the last split, if I remember correctly, and it doesn't feel like she assassinates anyone right now. I think she might have got slightly better with the Storm Surge buffs, but even then, she just does no damage. Pink Ward's counter like always, and she just clears slower than all the other AP junglers. Next is Lee Sin. Lee Sin is just, you guys should not be playing Lee Sin. He has one of the lowest win rates of all time in every region. He's mechanically too difficult to pull off. You have to one trick him, play 1,000 games. Even master players who one trick Lee Sin for years are struggling with him right now. And also all his items got nerfed. Every single item he likes to build, they all got nerfed. Just stay away from Lee Sin. Don't play him no matter what.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. People love Lee Sin. We're going to see it. People are going to play it. It is what it is. But if you guys are seriously looking at this tier list, I want LP. Don't touch Lee Sin. Now, if you want to have fun, sure. Play whatever you want, guys. Lee Sin is a fun champion. Definitely. But all right, guys. Thank you guys all for watching. If you guys stuck to the end of the video, just let us know you were there. You stuck through it all. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know as well what sort of other type of content you guys would like to see us do in the future. If you guys liked a full in-depth, whole 1 hour conversation about these champions, please do let us know so we can do more things like this. Alright guys, we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bro, I'm streaming.
I know, yes.
Bombs away, blowing up the White House on the lake. I need it right now. Shimmy, y'all, put me in a box in the Hall of Fame. King of the jungle, best one out and so humble. 100 gold chains and a bitch like Rapunzel. Rumble, how your bitches ya. All about the green like it's matcha. I make these bitches scream with my big rocket launcher. Stomp ya, deep into the streets of Sri Lanka. On some shit